Chapter 5 Contract of Marriage. Rajvanshi Enterprises, Ayan's private office. The air inside the towering glass office was so still it could cut through silence itself. Floor to ceiling, windows let in pale grey daylight, casting elongated shadows across the polished floor like dark omens. Ayan's Rajvanshi sat on his chair, the weight of power draped across his shoulder like a royal cloak. His black suit molded to him like a second skin, crisp and unyielding. There was a chill to his presence, a poised storm that whispered both control and calamity. Arvi stepped inside, her shoes echoing like thunderclaps in the silence. She hesitated, barely masking the flicker of anxiety in her eyes. "He summoned me, Mama Sa?" she asked, softly, her voice brushing against the cold walls. Ayansh looked at her in the eye and offered, "Sit down, Arvi. We have something important to discuss." She obeyed, gracefully, lowering herself into the chair opposite him. There was a queen's poise in her movements, an elegance that refused to crumble, no matter how many storms swirled around her. She remained a fortress of dignity. Ayansh picked up a transparent file from his desk and slid it toward her. She eyed it cautiously. Confusion crept across her face before she lifted her gaze to meet his. His eyes didn't blink. They burned into her with an intensity that didn't need words. It demanded understanding. His chin tilted slightly. "Open it. Read." Something in her chest tightened. Her hands moved, but her mind screamed questions. Is this a business proposal? A legal threat? A punishment? She flipped the file open. Her breath caught. Across the top, in bold ink, "Contract of Marriage." Her heart skipped. The world shrank. She blinked once, twice. But what is this, Mama Sa? Her voice barely formed the question. Ayansh leaned forward. His voice came low, steady, and laced with impossible gravity. "I need a favor from you, Arve." "A favor? A marriage contract is a favor?" Her thoughts spiraled into a tempest of disbelief. The papers lay like a curse between them. She couldn't move, couldn't read beyond the title. Her skin was chilled, yet her palms sweated. Her pulse pounded in her throat. Ayansh inhaled deeply, his expression still regal, his voice now a silk wrapped blade. "You must marry me, Arvi. Only you can save Aishwarya." Her world shattered into 1,000 jack pieces. "What?" she whispered. "What are you saying? This is this is a joke, right?" He didn't smile. He didn't blink. He didn't move. "Do I look like a man who's joking?" The weight of his words slammed into her like thunder. Her hands trembled. "Me and you? Marriage? How could you even? How is that even possible?" She stammered, her voice cracking under the pressure of disbelief. Ayansh rose from his chair. Every inch of him radiated something ancient, noble, dark, and commanding. He walked around the desk, slow like a lion approaching its prey, not to harm, but to dominate. He stopped in front of her, then lowered himself into the chair opposite. Their knees almost touched. His eyes remained locked on hers. He reached forward, carefully, slowly. His fingers brushed her wrist. Not a grip, not force, Just contact. Her breath hitched. He had never touched her like this. Not in all these years. Not even once. That warmth at her wrist burned through her skin and spread straight to her spine. She stared at him, wide eyed, haunted. His voice softened, but it didn't lose its edge. Do you know what happened in court yesterday? She shook her head, barely able to move. If you hadn't warned me about Ishita's trap, if I hadn't reached the courtroom in time, I would have lost her. My daughter would have become property in a custody deal brokered by betrayal and money. Arvi closed her eyes briefly. The memories hit like bullets. Yesterday, the whispering lawyers, the phone call, the betrayal. She had planted that servant near the old family lawyer weeks ago, trusting her instincts. It had finally paid off. She had heard everything. The lawyer had been bought. He had assured Ishita that Ayansh wouldn't make it to court in time, that the delay would give her full custody. But Arvi had been faster. She'd called Ayansh, voice urgent, heart hammering. And now, this. You saved Aishwarya, Ayansh continued. You've given her the love her real mother never could. Every breath you take has protected her. And yet, the court doesn't see that. They want a title, a role, a name. His voice cracked, just a hairline fracture. But it was enough to reveal the agony beneath the marble exterior. They told me, either I'll give her a mother legally, or I lose her forever. Arvi pressed a hand to her chest. The pressure there was suffocating. Mama sa, this is wrong. You're like a father to me. How can we? She pulled her wrist back, startled by the guilt that flared in her chest. Her eyes brimmed with unshed tears, lips trembling. I'm not your father, Ayan said, rising again. His back straightened, his jaw clenched. His voice lost all softness. I raised you, yes, but I never saw you as a child. You were born with the fire of a queen, Arvi, and now I'm asking you, not as your guardian, but as a man desperate to save his daughter. He turned his back to her, folding his hands behind him, and then his voice dropped. Iron wrapped in silk. You have two choices. She looked up. The room had gone colder, the walls now echoing with the finality of his command. Either you marry me and save our princess from falling into the filth of that woman's world, or you walk away, hide behind your idols, and let Aishwarya be raised by the very hands that tried to sell her innocence. He turned, meeting her gaze one last time. If Aishwarya's life is ruined, her pain will be your legacy. The decision is yours. Arvi's point of view. There was something cruel in the silence of this palace tonight. It wasn't just the walls that stood tall. It was the memories carved into them that mocked me. Every archway, every shadow, every breath of wind that slipped past the curtains whispered the same bitter question. How could he? How could he, the man I once looked up to as a protector, guide, family, reduce me to a pawn in his storm? I clutched my hair, fist trembling as pain curled in my chest. Was our bond so weightless to him? Had all those years meant nothing? The festivals we spent side by side, the nights I stayed awake when he battled his grief, the quiet glances that once held trust. Who am I to him really? A bargaining chip? a necessary sacrifice to secure what he truly loves. I could still feel the echo of his voice in that cold office, the commanding calm as he slid that marriage contract across the desk, like it was just business. Like I wasn't made of flesh, but of function. I kept asking myself the same question over and over. Why me? Because I'm the only one who's ever loved his daughter without condition. Because I stood between Aishwarya and the fire the world kept throwing at her. Because despite everything, I never asked anything in return. And now I was being asked for everything to marry the man I called Mamasa, a man I once believed was untouchable in his integrity. But tonight, his hands weren't reaching for protection. They were wrapping around my throat with velvet gloves. He gave me a choice. But let's not romanticize this. It wasn't a choice. It was two executions served on one platter. Either burn my soul by marrying him, or lose the child I raised as my own and watch her fall into the hands of a mother who treats her like collateral. I tilted my head back, stared at the ceiling. Lungs ached from breathing too hard. My throat felt scraped raw with unshed screams. Whom do I choose? My pride or my blood? My soul or my shadow? I remembered his words. Whatever decision you make, you will die while living. And damn him, he was right. If I married him, I would murder the woman I was. But if I didn't, I would become the woman who let Aishwarya slip into darkness. The room around me dimmed, as if the night itself was closing in to listen to my grief. The breeze from the window fluttered the flame of the lone diya, trembling just like my heartbeat. That fragile light cast flickering shadows on the desk where the contract still lay untouched, but not unseen. Even from here, its presence glowed like a cursed scripture. Contract of marriage, black ink, bold letters, an omen dressed as a document. I couldn't bring myself to touch it. It was no paper. It was a collar, a trap disguised as salvation. Is this marriage a prison or just another excuse to break me? My jaw tightened, my fists clenched tighter, and then came the fire. It started in my gut, crawling through my veins, blazed in my chest. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was rage, raw, wild, and unholy. Because beneath all the shattered innocence, I was still RV, and I would not be discarded like a footnote in a story. What more should I expect from Mamasa now? He wore nobility like a mask, but tonight I saw the man underneath, sharp, calculating, ruthless, dressed in love's costume. He said he loved his daughter. So did I, but I wasn't trying to own her. I was just trying to protect her. And yet, he gave me no path to redemption, only two graves, and asked me to lie in one. My eyes stung. But this time, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Instead, I whispered with all the venom I could muster. I hate you, Mamasa. My voice trembled, but not from fear, from the heat of the truth. I hate you for turning this love into chains. For the first time in my life, I said it, and I knew it wouldn't be the last.
Married to My Uncle, A Contract Marriage. Listen to the full audiobook on YouTube or Pratilipi FM. Alfazo Ka Safarnama.